The sleek black hearse glided forward, its glossy surface catching the somber gray of a sky heavy with clouds. Behind it trailed a line of cars, a quiet procession of steel and sorrow, each one carrying folks weighed down by the loss of Margaret Hensley. She'd been the heart of their tight-knit community in Willow Creek, a woman whose warmth and wisdom had shaped so many lives. Inside those cars, the air was thick with memories, the kind that choke you up and make your chest ache. The only sounds were the soft hum of engines and the occasional stifled sob as the convoy neared the towering gates of Willow Creek Meadows, an upscale gated neighborhood where Margaret had spent her final years. She'd always wanted to be laid to rest in the old cemetery tucked within the sprawling grounds of the Meadosa Historia plot that had been there long before the fancy houses and manicured lawns. It was a peaceful spot, shaded by ancient oaks, with headstones dating back over 100 years. But as the hearse approached the gates, the whole procession screeched to a halt. Not because of a traffic light or a stray dog crossing the road. No, it was a woman in a crisp, almost military-style uniform stepping out from the gatehouse, her hand raised like she was stopping an invading army. Laura Mitchell, the head of the Willow Creek Meadows HOA security team, strode toward the lead limousine with a swagger that screamed authority. Her badge gleamed on her chest, catching the dim light. Inside the limo sat Margaret's daughter, Emily, her face pale, eyes swollen from crying. Beside her were her sons, Nathan and Lucas, their jaws tight with grief. Laura's face was stone cold, not a flicker of warmth in her sharp green eyes. "Welcome to Willow Creek Meadows," she said, her voice cutting through the silence like a knife, devoid of any hint of kindness. "There's a mandatory DULA 20 entry fee per vehicle for non-residents. Please have exact change ready to speed things up." The words hit like a slap. Emily gasped, a sound so raw it seemed to tear the air. "An entry fee? You gotta be kidding. This is my mother's funeral procession. She's being laid to rest in the cemetery here, her final wish." Her voice cracked, a mix of heartbreak and disbelief. Laura didn't blink. She pulled out a clipboard, tapping it with a perfectly manicured nail. "Hensley, Margaret, resident of Lot 12, Oak Lane, deceased. Yes, I see the burial notice for today. But," she continued, her tone flat as a board, "Willow Creek Meadows HOA policy, Bylaw 8, Section D, Paragraph 2, clearly states all non-resident vehicles pay the access fee. No exceptions, not even for funerals." Nathan leaned forward, his face flushed with anger. "These are mourners, family, friends who've driven hours to say goodbye to a woman they loved. You can't seriously expect them to pay to grieve." Laura's gaze didn't waver. If they're not dues-paying residents or pre-approved guests with fees covered, they pay. It's for road upkeep, security, and maintaining the prestige of our community. You can collect the fees from your guests, or they can turn back. The word guests dripped with disdain, like she was talking about Yunin VY TED party crashers. The air in the limo turned suffocating, the family stunned into silence by the sheer cruelty of it. Behind them, the line of cars stretched down the public road, a silent chain of sorrow now trapped by this absurd demand. Emily's hand shook, tears spilling down her cheeks. Further back, in a plain black sedan, sat Daniel Carter, Margaret's godson. His heart was already heavy. Margaret had been more than a godmother. She'd practically raised him after his mom died when he was a kid. Now a cold fury burned his chest. He knew Willow Creek Meadows was obsessed with its rules, its exclusive VY tie, but this was heartless, a mockery of everything Margaret stood for. Daniel had spent his life in law enforcement, climbing the ranks with a sharp mind and a moral compass that never wavered. For the last 5 years, he'd been the chief of the State Highway Patrol, a job that demanded calm under pressure and a fierce commitment to justice. Today, he'd dressed in a simple dark suit, Leah VYing his uniform and patrol car behind to mourn quietly as just Daniel, the grieved VYing godson. But Laura Mitchell, with her clipboard and her icy stare, was about to change that. He watched as the limo driver, a pro used to handling delicate situations, tried to reason with Laura, then begged. Emily leaned out, her voice breaking as she pleaded for a shred of decency. Laura stood, unmoved, a human roadblock. Whispers rippled through the cars. What's going on? Why aren't we moving? Daniel's wife, Rachel, gripped his hand, her voice trembling with outrage. This is sick, Daniel. They can't do this. He unbuckled his seatbelt with a sharp click. They won't. Stay here, Rachel. I've got this. Daniel stepped out, his long strides carrying him toward the gate. Mourners in the cars recognized him, their faces shifting from despair to cautious hope. They knew Daniel Carter's quiet strength, his knack for cutting through nonsense. If anyone could fix this, it was him. Laura's voice grew sharper as he approached, dripping with smug authority. If payment isn't made promptly, I'll have to ask you to clear this unauthorized gathering. You're blocking a private road, which is a violation and potentially a citable offense. Ms. Mitchell, Daniel said, his voice steady but laced with steel. She turned, sizing him up, her eyes flicking over his suit, clearly deciding he was just another nobody. I'm Daniel Carter, Margaret Hensley's godson. I'm asking you, politely, to open this gate and let this procession through without causing more pain to her family. Laura's lips curled into a smirk. Politely, Mr. Carter? For someone so close to the family, you seem unaware of our posted fee structure. It's $20 per vehicle, no exceptions. It's in the community charter. Feel free to check it at the HOA office. Daniel's patience frayed like an old rope. Ms. Mitchell, there are moments when rules don't matter, when compassion and decency should come first. This is a funeral. These people are hurting. Your demands are cruel and unnecessary. Laura's face reddened, her voice rising. My demands ensure the financial integrity of Willow Creek Meadows. If your family had bothered to prepay or arrange guest passes, we wouldn't be HOA-ing this problem. This is on you. The accusation was a gut punch, blaming the HOA for her heartlessness. Emily sobbed openly in the limo. Nathan's fists clenched so tight his knuckles were white. The line of cars sat frozen, a community's sorrow held hostage. Daniel's eyes turned to ice. The only problem here, Ms. Mitchell, is you. You're obstructing a lawful funeral procession, causing a public disturbance, and showing a disgusting lack of respect for the dead and their loved ones. I'm doing my job, Laura shrieked, her composure cracking. If you keep challenging me, Mr. Carter, I'll have you cited for trespassing and call the police. The threat hung in the air, a reckless escalation. Daniel saw the pain on Emily's face, the anger in Nathan's eyes, the silent grief of the mourners trapped behind. He tried reason. He tried kindness. Now it was time to act. Ms. Mitchell, he said, his voice low and dangerous, you're right about one thing. You're doing your job as you see it. But now I have to do mine. He turned and walked back to his car, every step deliberate. From the trunk, he pulled a garment bag and unzipped it, revealing the crisp, dark blue uniform of the State Highway Patrol chief, its silver badge gleaming. As he slipped on the jacket, his demeanor shifted, the grieving godson giving way to Chief Carter, a figure of undeniable authority. When he strode back, Laura's smugness vanished. Her face paled, her eyes darting from the badge to the radio on his shoulder. The mourners gasped, a wave of hope washing over them. Ms. Laura Mitchell, Daniel said, his voice now a commanding boom. Your actions obstructing this procession, demanding fees from grieving people, causing emotional distress may violate state law, including statutes on interfering with a funeral. Your attempt to extort fees could also face serious scrutiny. Laura stammered, her bravado gone. Two is just following HOA policy. Mr. Harrison, the president, he demands strict enforcement. Daniel cut her off. HOA policy doesn't trump state law, Ms. Mitchell, nor does it excuse your lack of humanity. You've had every chance to back down. You didn't. He reached for his radio, and Laura's eyes widened in panic. No, please. I can call Mr. Harrison. Too late, Daniel said, keying the mic. Dispatch. This is Chief Carter, Unit 1 at the main gate of Willow Creek Meadows on Route 9, West County. Send 2 marked units, Code 2, for a public order issue and possible unlawful detention. Proceed with discretion due to the sensitive nature of the event. Over. Laura looked like she'd been punched. You're arresting me for doing my job? She whispered. I'm detaining you for questioning, Daniel corrected, for interfering with a funeral, possible extortion, and other offenses. Now, open the gate, or I'll add failure to comply to the list. Shaking, Laura fumbled with the controls. The heavy gates swung open with a groan, and the procession moved forward, Emily mouthing a tearful "thank you," Daniel as they passed. Patrol cars arrived swiftly, and Laura was escorted to one, her authority stripped away. Edward Harrison, the HOA president, roared up in a golf cart, his face red with indignation that quickly turned to dread when he saw Daniel in uniform. This is a misunderstanding, he blustered. Ms. Mitchell is just dedicated. Daniel's gaze was unforgiving. Your dedicated employee has traumatized a family and disgraced your community. This isn't over, Mr. Harrison. The funeral went on, delayed and scarred by the ordeal, but Margaret was laid to rest in the quiet cemetery. The fallout was explosive. Laura faced charges for interfering with a funeral and disorderly conduct. Her career in security finished. The media pounced, headlines screaming about the HOA tyrant stopped by a grieving police chief. Willow Creek Meadows became a national punchline, a symbol of heartless bureaucracy. But Daniel wasn't done. Digging deeper, his team uncovered a bombshell. The HOA had privatized a once public road to the cemetery decades ago, a shady move that restricted access to a historic site meant to be open to all. Worse, Edward Harrison and his board had been secretly planning to sell part of the cemetery for a strip mall, using Laura's harsh tactics to make the place seem less valuable. The public was livid, and Daniel led a charge for change, backed by historians, veterans, and furious locals. After months of legal battles and public pressure, the HOA caved. The road and gate were returned to public control, the gatehouse torn down to cheers. The new Margaret Hensley Memorial Drive opened, a welcoming path to the cemetery lined with blooming dogwoods. The cemetery sale was scrapped, and the HOA paid hefty fines to preserve the site. A new, humbled board took over, vowing transparency. A year later, Daniel walked down the sunlit drive, young trees swaying in the breeze. Families sighted the cemetery freely, kids biked past, and the old exclusive tie was gone. The road wasn't just pavement, it was a testament to compassion triumphing over greed, a tribute to Margaret's legacy. Now let's talk. Was Laura Mitchell just doing her job, or was she a power-hungry bully? Should HOAs have the power to control access to historic sites? Could Daniel have handled it differently, or was his full-on chief mode the only way? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button if this story fired you up, and subscribe for more real-life dramas that'll keep you hooked.